Hello, and welcome to this HelloID provisioning product release video for June 2021. HelloID provisioning is a 100% born-in-the-cloud, easy-to-configure and maintain user provisioning solution. It helps organizations to fully automate the user lifecycle management in the network by connecting the HR or SIS as a source system. Every change in this source is detected and processed into the network. No more worries about stale user accounts, accumulation of licenses or access rights, manual user management, or compliancy issues. Please note that in this video, we will only show the new functionality for the June 2021 release. Please go to docs.helloid.com or our YouTube channel for more videos. Let's get started. In this video, we'd like to start with a PowerPoint presentation and then demo the new functionalities for the June 2021 release. We have 5 new items in this release. Number 1. Add characters to delete diacritical marks. With this new feature, we extended the existing delete diacritical marks functionality, so it will also contain a replacement of Latin diacritics for C and S characters. These characters will now also be replaced with default ASCII characters. 2. Export JSON to get persons with contracts from the vault. Secondly, we introduced the option to download a data export of persons and contracts from the HelloID vault. These results will become available in a JSON file, which can be used for data validation or evaluation purposes. 3. Vault Delta View between snapshots. With this feature, we created the possibility to see the differences between snapshots, based on the data comparisons between 2 different snapshots or on a person level over multiple snapshots, which makes it very easy to determine the history of changes being made during the import of a source system. 4. Combine permission and dynamic permission. We redesigned the process for managing permissions and dynamic permissions, where both functionalities are being supported inside the new permissions configuration. In case you already have configured dynamic permissions in your current configuration, HelloID will convert them automatically to the new used permission format. 5. Display progress of target system actions. On target systems, it's now possible to display the progress of the target actions as they're being executed, so you can keep up with the current processing state and track whether a process is still running or not. This new functionality does not only apply to the enforcement, but also when the update all action is being triggered. We will show you how this new feature works in detail in the following demo. The first item we'd like to show you is the Vault Source Data Export, which contains person and contract data being stored in the vault for the selected snapshots. As you can see, a new button has been added to the snapshot screen from which you can trigger a download of the data, and when this process is executed, HelloID will provide a JSON file containing personal, contract, and additional information about the selected snapshot. Here's an example of what this looks like. The export contains a record of each person and their related corresponding data in the vault. We also have an identifier available in which the account entitlements of a person that's being granted is visible and can be found over here underneath accounts. The account also comes with a system identifier related to the target system this person has an account for, and where we also have the export data fields related to the account. Besides this, you will also have all of the person fields available, which are coming from the source system snapshot, including the contract data. There is a record for each person inside the HelloID vault, and each of these records are unique inside this export. Secondly, we added a new feature which makes it possible to show the delta view between imports, in which you can see what has been changed since the last source import. We can use this new feature to track any changes on a person level to easily identify mutations on person record. With this new functionality, we also introduced some new indicators on the snapshot view, which you can see over here, and it's based on the state of the snapshots. When you select a snapshot and click this newly introduced button, you will see all the differences for this snapshot. Now, when we open this window and search for a person, it's also good to mention we have introduced color coding for identifying changes. This new color coding will easily show what kind of changes are applicable to a person, and John, for example, has multiple changes which will be presented over here. The yellow indicator tells us something changed for a person. In this case, the display name has been changed or the naming convention of this person. A green indicator will tell us if something new has been added to a person, and a red indicator will show if there is something removed from a person. With this new feature, we also redesigned the snapshot logging screen, which was based on the timestamp of the message when the action occurred before. It will now be sorted by the timestamp the action was being executed in the correct order. As mentioned before, we also have the ability to track changes in a person's history. So if we look for the same person, there's a new screen in here called History. And from this screen, you can see all the changes for a particular person. Each of the blocks identify which snapshot was related to these changes. And when you expand one of these, you can see the kind of changes that were made during the creation of the new snapshot. With this new option, it's very easy to identify the mutation life cycle of a person throughout the history. Our next item is the new and redesigned dynamic permissions, where we previously had a strictly separated configuration for dynamic permission and static permissions. We now merge them to one permission. The further configuration of this permission will describe if it's a dynamic permission or a static permission. For example, our department shares permission, which was already there. It is now converted to a new dynamic permission in which you can specify the display name and a reference for this specific permission. The reference you provide for this permission can be used during the configuration in script to call the specific type of permission. The display name of this permission will be used to indicate what kinds of permissions you are working with and will also be shown inside the configuration of business rules. We still have the option to retrieve the permissions by using a script. To use this, you have to toggle the Use Script to Retrieve Permission to Enable as configured for this one. As you can see, the permission is still being processed from the script in the same way it used to be and can still be configured using these new permissions. We also made a modification to the actions. Previously, it was all in one script, where you had to provide the actions for the grant update and revoke inside the all-in-one script, which you can see here. If you would like to have the all-in-one script, you can still configure it in the same way as before. Next, we introduced the option to test a specific action for the grant, update, or revoke from the preview screen. This is very useful for testing the configuration, or if you would like to grant or revoke a permission from the preview screen manually during configuration testing. There is also a new option in which the actions can be separated. You can see this in the other permission configured over here. These actions will separate the grant, update, or revoke in case you turn this toggle to enabled, introducing the option to specify particular scripts only responsible for granting. This new script will only take care of the grant of a permission, and you can specify it for the other actions like update or revoke as well. During this introduction, we also have a new addition, the use of subpermissions, which can be extremely helpful in case the assigned permission also contains a subset of permissions to be granted in the target system. For example, if the granted permission based on a specific department also contains a subset of permissions to be granted for a specific role within a target application. To use these new permissions in your scripts, please make sure to enable the toggle for subpermission action. Otherwise, you won't receive the subpermissions in your script. For now, we only use this kind of subpermissions in one of our healthcare applications, but the usage of subpermissions can easily be assigned to other applications in the near future. The last item we'd like to show you is the display progress of target system actions, which makes it very easy to identify the state that the current provisioning is running in. Before we can trigger this, an enforcement has to be executed. Now, if we go back to the target system configuration, you can see there is an indicator running, showing the data is being processed by HelloID based on the percentage of actions. And there is an indicator displaying the number of actions to be executed. This progress indicator will only show the actions of the last 24 hours, which is based on a summary of the system actions. Thank you so much for watching. Please let us know if you have any additional questions. You can post your question in YouTube or send it to isupport@toolsforever.com. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel to receive frequent updates about improvements and changes in HelloID. Have a wonderful day.